Got Mr. Hooter and Toro with us again today. And looks like morning. And looks like Dana's already in the chat.
Yeah,
Morning, Dana. Shalom. All right. We're in Proverbs chapter 15, page 742, 743 if you're in the scriptures. If you're in another translation, then it's probably on another page. Who, you want this one or you want me to get it?
I'm more than willing to read it. Soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up displeasure. The tongue of the wise makes knowledge good, but the mouth of fools pours out foolishness. The eyes of Yahuwah are in every place, watching the evil and the good. A healing tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it crushes the spirit. Fool despises his father's pleasure, or father's discipline, but he who heeds reproof is clever. The household of the righteous is a great treasure, but in the income of the wrong is trouble. The lips of the wise scatter knowledge, but the heart of fools is not so. The slaughtering of the wrong ones is an abomination to Yahweh, but the prayer of the straight is his delight. The way of the wrong one is an abomination to Yahweh, but he loves him who pursues righteousness. Discipline is grievous to him who forsakes the way. He who hates reproof dies. Sheol and destruction are before Yahweh. How much more the hearts of the sons of men? The scoffer does not love his reprover, nor does he go to the wise. A glad heart makes a good face, but by sorrow of heart the spirit is stricken. The heart of the understanding one seeks knowledge, but the mouth of fools feeds on folly. All the days of the afflicted are evil, but gladness of heart is a continual feast. Better is a little with the fear of Yahweh, and great treasure with trouble. Better is a meal of vegetables where love is, than a fatted calf with hatred. A man of wrath stirs up strife, but he who is patient appeases strife. The lazy one, or the way of the lazy one, is like a hedge of thorns. But the way of the straight is a highway. A wise son makes a father glad, but a foolish man despises his mother. Folly is joy to one lacking heart, but a man of understanding walks straight. Without counsel, plans go wrong, but by counselors they are established, or by great counselors they are established. A man has joy by the answer of his mouth, and how good is a word spoken in its season. The path of life is upward for the wise, but to turn away from Sheol below. Yahweh tears down the house of the proud, and he sets up the boundary of the widow. Evil thoughts are an abomination to Yahweh, but pleasant words are clean. He who is greedy for gain troubles his own house, but he who hates bribes lives. The heart of the righteous ponders how to answer, but the mouth of the wrong pours out evil. Yahweh is far from the wrong ones, but he hears the prayers of the righteous. The light of the eyes rejoices the heart. A good report gives marrow to the bones. The ear that hears the reproof of life does not dwell among the wise. He who ignores discipline hates himself, but he who listens to reproof gets understanding. The fear of Yahweh is the discipline of wisdom, and before esteem is humility. Sorry, my dog's like
You're good. You're good. No need to apologize.
Too early for all
Mm-hmm.
that. Oh. I didn't mean to drop an F-bomb that early either.
You're good, dude. You're good. Oh man. So jumping in the beginning of that, soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up displeasure. So, what's your thoughts on, I guess, the walking the line of that soft answer? I guess answering somebody in gentleness uh, versus a harsh word. Because I can think of a few instances where some people do need a harsh word. And so that illicit response that you're going to get from somebody of, if you do give them that harsh word and then they have that gut reaction of not wanting to deal with that person. But the harsh word is necessary to, like, say, the rebuke that they need to receive.
Well, so firstly, my dog, are you high? States.
Your dog
Firstly,
join the live stream, bro. Like that might boost the.
She's just too energetic for 5:30 in the morning. That's really it. Like, if it wasn't that, it would be fun. Anyways, to me, that verse, I think it's really just saying, like, hey, you can use a soft answer, which will turn away the wrath that person might have against you. But like you said, like, sometimes there's those people that need a harsh word.
Yeah.
Harsh not being like, you utterly destroying them with your mouth, but like it's gonna come off rough. But it's going to stir up their displeasure. And for me, it's like, I totally agree. Like, there are times when you need to come to a person in a little bit of a rough manner, because elsewhere in the Proverbs, right? Is it Proverbs 27? Um, as iron sharpens iron, so the face of a friend sharpens another. And that's a pretty rough process. Like, iron on iron is really rough. There's a lot of pressure and friction and
You're removing material.
and so, but that's needed to reprove one another, to build each other up, and to help each other become better. So it's like, in reality, that verse is saying, like, hey, there's two options here, and you can choose either one. One seems better on face value because that person's not going to come back to you mad or upset. But maybe they really need that harsh word to get their poop in a good way.
Yeah.
But you're gonna have to deal with them probably backlashing and coming against you, or at least being upset about it. And it's like, oh man, dude, what is that? There's somewhere else in the Proverbs. I wish I remember where it was. I think we read it last time, if I'm not mistaken. But it's I don't even remember exactly the words it used, but it's almost like a soft word from an enemy is better than it's like perfect for this verse. What was it? What did we read last time? That would be
I think we were at 8 last time.
But yeah, man. it's like there's power of life and death in your tongue. Words have power,
Mhm.
and yeah, I mean you can really break somebody down with it, or you can build them up. But sometimes that process on the receiving end is kind of what dictates how it goes from there. Because maybe you give a person a word they really need, but it might, at least for a time,
Yeah.
hurt the relationship because that person didn't handle it well and they choose to walk away. And as Data's saying, it is a heart posture. It's true. Like
Yeah.
you could, in that instance, like that harsh word might also just be a negative thing, and you're just straight up speaking rudely to that person.
Yeah. Well, and I would say if your default is a soft answer, when you have to use that harsh word, not when like you're out of spoons, and so like they're just getting the rough side of you, but like when it is a tactical decision to use that harsh word for the reproof and instruction of somebody who you do life with. I think that gets their attention because they're like, oh, all of a sudden, this wasn't, a soft answer. This wasn't, somebody just operating normally with me. There's a difference. Why? Like it's an attention grabber. Like they're using their bold text. They're typing in all caps. Like what's up? So that plays into it versus if someone is default harsh answer all the time. Default, their stern voice all the time. I think that makes the gentleness when they do bring it out seem very non-genuine. It's like, okay, what do you want? Like you're being nice to me all of a sudden, versus they're typically operating in gentleness and love all the time. They're being stern all of a sudden. What's up? I tend to be more default soft answer, and that is a choice, because I find that makes the harsh response carry a lot more weight when it's necessary. Now, I mean, when I'm out of spoons and I'm like at my worst, yeah, I'm typically going to be a little bit more gruff. And so there's navigating that. It's like, okay, does 12th C need a nap and a snack, or is 12th C like actually upset for a good reason? Like that is sometimes a hard check, but other times it's like, okay, yeah, this is a righteous anger or a righteous sternness, a righteous harsh word that is intended to cut to the heart of the issue. And I think it's the dwell time, the context with somebody, to where it is the wound from a friend versus the hey, this person, I don't have any context with them, so a harsh word's probably not gonna carry what needs to happen unless it's something that's truly called for. But what do I know?
Well, and I think with all that, I think it really depends on dwell time too. Because if you're really intimate with a person, they'll get it when you're coming in that way, and they'll probably receive it a little better at least. Whereas if it's just somebody you met and you come to them like super heavy, they're probably not going to receive it as well because
Yes.
they don't have any reason to further that relationship now. and especially if they take displeasure in what you just said and how you said it. So I think that's something that we should take in caution as well. Um, with coming to somebody with a more stern word is like, how long have we been walking together, and how would that affect the response that they take out of this? So there's that as well. Can't seem to find that verse, so I'm just gonna let it be. But it was a good one for that. Oh, the tongue of the wise makes knowledge good, but the mouth of fools pours out foolishness. You ever met somebody that, in pardon my French here, I guess I'm just feeling foggy at this point, but pretty much just talk out of their ass, you know what I mean? Like, almost like, almost like fish math, where they just have to make a fish sound significantly bigger than it was. Like, there's that kind of person where it's like all that comes out of their mouth is this foolishness or lies or whatever. It's just like the more they speak, the more they make themselves look like a fool. I suppose somebody got wisdom. We talked about this not yesterday. That would be crazy. But last Friday, about how it kind of all stems back to the seek, the word, the Torah. Somebody seeking wisdom in the tongue of the wise makes knowledge good, like knowledgeable, probably knowledge on how to apply the Torah to their life. Like they're making good use of their walk. I don't know. That's at least how I'm kind of taking it. And it's just like these different people.
So I would say, tied up in the tongue of the wise makes knowledge good. So I would stand by that wisdom is the proper application of knowledge, and there is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. So with that, the very words that someone who is wise uses, they are able to, I guess, speak life into a situation. They are able to use the knowledge that they have and instruct others in what that looks like, and how to apply that knowledge. Whereas, the inverse of that, but the mouth of fools pours out foolishness. What someone who is foolish says may be factually correct, but if they don't have the proper application behind their words, then what they're saying isn't going to do anybody any good. So, I guess it's the same reason why you don't take advice from people who don't have anything you want. You don't get fitness advice from a fat person. Like, you don't get financial advice from a poor person. You don't get parenting advice from people who have done horrible things to kids, like those kinds of things, versus someone who's been there, done that, like had all the struggles. They're able to hey, I've been poor and I've made money, and this is what did well for me. You have someone who uh, lost a whole bunch of weight and kept it off. They're probably going to have a little bit better fitness advice than someone who's covered in Dorito dust on their couch. Those kinds of things. So knowing how to apply that knowledge, I think, separates the knowledge from the wisdom. And so their very words are good in that.
Yeah, man, that's a good word. Sorry, I was zoning out, like in and out.
You're good. You're good, man. The eyes of Yahweh are in every place, watching the evil and the good. I think that's really humbling. To be reminded that Yahweh sees everything.
What?
Good morning, Matt Bear. Good to see you in the chat.
Good morning, bro. It's a lot like Psalms 139. Like, if I make my bed in the depths of Sheol, you are there. If I go up to the heavens, you are there. Like where can you go? He's in all places. He sees all things. It's like,
and it's interesting that in Psalm 139, that David's just like, I know you see everything. Yahweh ain't staying with me, and test everything that's in me. And if something's not of you, like, I want to know, and teach me to follow you with everything that I've got. Like that. That's very humbling to see him pour out. Like, I know you see all of this. I know you see all of the horrible things that I've done. I know you see everything that has brought a smile to your face. I know you see it all, and I still want you to penetrate my heart and see everything that is of you and everything that's not of you, and to call me out on my BS, essentially. Like, yeah, I just find that very, very humbling. A healing tongue is a tree of life, but perverseness in it crushes the spirit. Is that like perverseness of tongue? Yeah, I'm not sure. My default assumption is that perverseness would be in tongue. A fool despises his father's discipline, but he who heeds reproof is clever. The household of the righteous is a great treasure, but in the income of the wrong is trouble. The lips of the wise scatter knowledge, but the heart of fools is not so. That's interesting. The lips of the wise scatter knowledge. I keep thinking of like the parable of the sower sowing seed.
Yeah.
Like that instantly comes to mind with that one. What is that one?
Slow there, Sean.
Shalom.
That's crazy. I was gonna say the same thing. So it's really interesting.
Where is that one? Matthew 13, verse 3. It's on page 933. And he spoke to them much in parables, saying, See, the sower went out to sow, and as he sowed, some indeed fell by the wayside, and the birds came and devoured them. Others fell on rocky places, where they did not have much soil, and immediately they sprang up, because they had no depth of soil. But when the sun was up, they were scorched, because they had no roots, and withered. Others fell among thorns, and the thorns came up and choked them. And others fell on good soil, and yielded a crop, some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. And the taught ones came and said to him, Why do you why do you speak to them in parables? And he answered and said to them, Because it has been given to you to know the secrets of the reign of heaven, but to them it has not been given. For whoever possesses, to him more shall be given, and he shall have overflowing. But whoever does not possess, even what he possesses, shall be taken away from him. Because of this, I speak to them in parables, because seeing they do not see, hearing they do not hear, nor do they understand. And in them, the prophecy of YESHUA is completely fulfilled, which says, Hearing you shall not, or hearing you shall hear, and by no means understand, and seeing you shall see, but by no means perceive. For the heart of this people has become thickened, and their ears are hard of hearing, and in their eye they have closed, lest they should see with their eye and hear with their ears, lest they should understand with their heart and turn back, and I heal them. And blessed are your eyes because they see, and your ears because they hear. For truly I say to you that many prophets and righteous ones longed to see what you see, and did not see it, to hear what you hear, and did not hear it. You then hear the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the reign, and does not understand it, then the wicked one comes and snatches it away, what was sown in their heart. This is that sown by the wayside, and that sown on rocky places. This is he who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy, and yet he has no root in himself, but is short-lived, and when pressure or persecution arises because of the word, immediately he stumbles. And that sown among the thorn is he who hears the word, and the worry of this age and the deceit of the riches choke the word, and, and it becomes fruitless. And that sown on good soil is who hears the word and understands it, who indeed bears fruit and yields some 160 and some 30. Another parable he put before them, saying, The reign of heaven has become like a man who sowed good seed in his field, but while men slept, his enemy came and sowed darnel among the wheat and went away. And when the blade sprouted and bore fruit, then the darnel appeared. And the servants of the master of the house came and said to him, Master, did you not sow good seed in your field? From where then does it have the darnel? And he said to them, A man an enemy did this. And the servant said to him, do you wish that we go and gather them up? And he said, no, lest while you gather up the darnel, you also uproot the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. In the time of the harvest, I shall say to the reapers, first gather the darnel and then bind them into bundles and burn them. But gather the wheat into my granary. Another parable he put before them, saying, the rain of the heavens is like a mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is less than any of the seeds, but when it grows, it is greater than the plants, and becomes a tree, so that the birds of the heaven come and dwell on the branches. Another parable he spoke to them, the rain of the heavens is like a leaven which the woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal until all was leavened. And YESHUA said all this to the crowd in parables, and he did not speak to them without a parable, so that what was spoken by the prophet might be filled, saying, I shall open my mouth in parables. I shall pour forth what has been hidden from the foundation of the world. I'm going to stop there. But yeah, that's where my brain goes on the sowing of seed. That's where my brain goes on the words of a wise man spreading knowledge with everything that he says. See, verse 7, the lips of the wise scatter knowledge, but the heart of the fools is not so. Yeah. I don't know if, what are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, if I'm being honest, that whole time I was like thinking to myself in a Trump accent, like a lot of seeds, a lot of scattering. Like I don't know why.
The best seeds, they're tremendous. Everyone said it.
That's just SpongeBob brain. No, I think that's a good word though.
Yeah.
That's exactly where my brain went to. Because we as believers do have the knowledge of the promise left to us by Messiah. This promise with the reign of the heavens, the kingdom of heaven. And he's been instructing us to go and spread that word to others. Because like it's a big deal, bro. We're talking about life and death here. Not on this planet, but like spiritually. And that's what all this is about. Like we weren't given this precious gift of life to like run around and do whatever we damn well please. It's like, hey bro, this is the battlegrounds, the testing grounds of which the Father's gonna use for judgment over your life to whether deem you fit for the kingdom or not. And like the kingdom's coming. There's no doubt about it. It's coming. And it's like, do you actually want to be a part of that? Or do you not? And work out your salvation in fear and trembling. And sometimes that fear and trembling in working out salvation, I have that for people I truly love, people that are close to me. And I know like in their current circumstance, like they're not getting it. And it hurts. And like it makes it that much more important to me, like that they know, hey, I get that shiny thing over there, so it's really great. But like, can I share some wisdom, some knowledge with you? It doesn't matter. That will go away. Do not store up your treasures here on earth where moth and rust destroy. But rather, store up your treasures in the storehouses of the heavens. because it's coming here. Like, this blip of time that we live on this earth, the approximately maximum of 120 years that we were given, average lifespan these days is like, what, 80 years old? If that? What does it matter? Does 80 years of, like, your own pleasure, seeking your own desires, compare anything to the eternity that is to come? Eternal life with your creator, the one that literally freaking flew over the face of the waters and spoke all of this into existence. The one that came in the form of flesh and chose to bear his stake and get put up on it and die for you. Like, does that mean nothing over the Lambo or the money or the girls or the fame or like all this shiny stuff that is clearly just a distraction from you? But it's like, yeah, of course the wise want to scatter that. The heart of fools is not so, because they're distracted by all the shiny things.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I didn't do my due diligence last night like I did last time to go and see pieces of the Torah, so my bad. That was really fun. I know. I'll try. I seek to be better next time. But like that, to me, was a good word because like that's it, you know.
Well, I think where my brain's going with a lot of this is, and you're really hitting on this. I guess I'm just more reiterating everything else. Um, everything that's shiny isn't necessarily valuable. I mean, raccoons are attracted to shiny stuff, but like 99% of what they find is trash. Um, and even when they do find something that is of value, where are they putting it with the rest of the trash that they find? So, is the value that they've found even being appropriately utilized? No, it's not. So, what about somebody who is, I mean, just stuck in the trash, and they have the the knowledge of the word come their way, and they're like, oh, I'll add that to my trash pile because it's shiny, and what they found is of great value, but they don't know the true value of it, so they put it up on their shelf, and they look at it and like, yeah, it's shiny just like everything else that I've got. There is I don't really know that calling it a poem is the right thing to call it. Man, where's my running buddy when I need him? It's like an English lit major and can tell me the intricacies of what all of these are. But there's for lack of a better descriptor, there's a poem, and it's not a rhyming poem, but there's a nugget of wisdom that's out there. It's called $3 Worth of God, and it was written, 50 plus years ago. I don't know the exact time frame of it, but it was written a long time ago. And the image that the reader gets when you're looking into this one is like an old butcher's counter or whatever, where you would go and you would order your meat, and they would weigh it out and charge it to you by its weight. So you go get like 20 pounds of steak, and that the steak is $6 a pound. So there's a certain amount that they cut off, and they set it up on the scale and they weigh it, and they like, okay, we gave them just a little bit much, so they shave a little bit off, and then or it's like, oh hey, not enough, so they cut one more and set it on there, and the guys is basically asking, hey, I want $3 worth of God. I want enough to, you know, satisfy my soul a little bit, but like not so much that it stirs me to change. I don't want, you know, I want enough to make me feel good, but not enough to convict me of what I'm doing wrong. And the whole point is to remind the reader, like, hey, if you're just going through the motions, and you're just checking boxes, are you actually encountering the Father? Are you actually being convicted by His Word to change what's wrong? And the poem's called $3 worth of God. If I can find it, I'll post it in my community tab after this is over, and I'll put it in the description of this video for later too.
Send it to me as well.
Yeah, I'll text it to you when I find it.
Yeah.
But it's those of you who are still watching, whenever I end a video live stream, it takes YouTube a little bit, and then I have to go in and set it from private to public. And I'll do that, and I should by then have found it. And I'll link that in the description so that way you guys can read it. And those of you who are watching on the replay crew, you should already have it in the description by the time you're watching this. But just a very like unique way for someone to say, like, are you box checking this, or are you legit like pouring your heart and soul into seeking out with everything that you got? And like I said, the poem was written like 50, 60 years ago or more, so it, you know, it's a little dated, but it's good.
Yeah, and something kind of came to me with a lot of what you said. And this is the prior mechanic in me, but like, so you said, you know, what is what is the value in something being shiny, right? And an example for me was like, okay, if I'm changing oil and all of a sudden I see shiny in it, is that valuable?
So something's wrong if you see shiny when you're changing oil. Yeah.
Right. It's the value isn't there. It's shiny. It looks cool. You're about to spend a lot of money. That's what that means. So like, you see the deception in that, don't you?
Yeah. So you.
Oh, this is special oil. Oh.
It sparkles. You doing automotive? You guys didn't cut filters very much, did you?
Cup filters?
Yeah, cut filters. Like take the filter and actually like cut it open and examine what's on the inside.
Oh, cut. I was hearing cup.
Yeah. My cup overfloweth with shiny oil. But no, you guys didn't cut the filters open and actually look inside them too much, did you?
It not very often, but if we had other symptoms of a problem, like yeah, we totally would. We've done it a couple times.
Right, but it wasn't like a standard practice.
No, it wasn't something you did like often, because normally, at least with Toyotas, I mean, I think this translates across the board for the most part. But, usually, if you're doing that, it's because you're catching the sparkles in the oil as you're taking it in.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people are like asking for it to be looked at. You just kind of take a little sample, pour it into a bottle, whatever. You kind of dig around in there, and as you're investigating, you might pull the filter and just try to see further evidence. But yeah, it wasn't something we did like an oil change or anything like that.
Yeah. So my line of maintenance, which is not necessarily open for open discussion right now because I don't like to talk about work in specifics because I never want to get in trouble for something that I say on my YouTube channel and that play over to work. So I'm going to dance around some of this, but in my line of maintenance, it's standard practice to have the filter cut open in a lot of cases. And so like you would do an oil sample and cup and send it off for the spectrum analysis where they, laser beam burn it and look for everything that's inside. And then you would also see what's inside the filter. And if you see those shiny sparkles, as well, because you'll see it in the filter before you see it in the oil, because the filter is going to accumulate a ton of it, whereas the oil you may just see a little of it, and when you really see it in the oil, it's too late, because they're looking for those problems early. Whereas in the automotive world, if you're cutting every filter, like man, that's just a lot of time.
That's not very quick, as opposed to quick.
Yeah. And you're also talking the difference of a few $1,000s to like a few $100,000 on the cheap end.
Yep.
So like there's a price difference in finding that. So that plays into it a little bit. That it's more worth the mechanic's time in my line of work to cut more filters to fill more sample bottles and catch those things early because it's the difference between is that steel, is that aluminum, is that magnesium, is that titanium, is that some other crazy metal that does stuff. Like we need to know, and we need to find those pieces before they get found.
Well, also, what I worked on usually stayed on the ground, so.
Well, there is that. So.
Well, a little less terrifying, I guess. So, word here, she said, going back to the beginning, sometimes a harsh word is needed to get people on the straight path. It doesn't mean that you don't love them. You do it because you love them. And when you give a harsh word out of love, it's to bring their value. Someone did that to me about a month ago. Deep hurt, but best thing for me, and I know they did it because of love for me, and that's awesome, Dana. And I share with you that I did the exact same thing with my mom at one point, and I knew going into it, I was like, well, this is the conversation. This is the one conversation that I know I need to have, and it's like it's about to be either very detrimental or very beneficial to this relationship. And it's my mom. This woman gave birth to me. But I loved her too much to let her live her life in a lie. And, I started witnessing to it. Just giving it to her straight, giving her the word, showing her what the word says, and like trying to direct her path forward at all that I can. And I know it probably looked really harsh at the time. And it was a hard conversation. It didn't look like, this beautiful, like happy conversation. It was like, again, this was like, she's either gonna never talk to me again, or in some time, it's gonna build this up.
Yeah.
Our relationship, and I think she knows that no matter how much she felt emotion to that conversation, and maybe even doesn't agree with what I had to say or what the word says, that I'm only doing it because I truly and absolutely love her, even unto death, right? And so I get it, like, and I agree with your statement. I would never have that conversation because I don't love somebody. That's not what that conversation looks like. That conversation's me acting out of bounds, out of my own anger, and that's a me thing. Whereas this is like, look, if this isn't gonna look pretty, but I love you too much, like, come sit down. I don't want you to live in a lie. And I'm glad that somebody was like willing to come and do that for you because it's important. I think all of us have had that conversation at some point or another.
Well, we've been
And
on both sides of that conversation, so
yeah,
it's
and for
it
me, it was
matters.
more of like this internal conversation, and y'all was just straight up telling me, "Is like, when are you gonna stop the bullshit, man?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah." And but I'm sure there was people in my life that you know would have also been used. I'm sure that's just not what it was for me. But
Mhm.
you know, late again, Brian Barnes. What the heck?
We'll let you off this time, but next time you're allowed to be late too. So
No, we love you, bro. We
hey,
love you, and we
Brian, I'm pretty sure yours was the email that I saw last night. We're praying for you, and we're praying for your grandfather, bud.
absolutely nothing but love for you, bro.
100%. Uh, Speeding through some more of this because like I'm digging this, but there's some meat I want to get to. A few more verses.
Wrap it up, Hunter.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying let's continue this into more verses. So the slaughtering of the wrong ones is an abomination to Yahweh, but the prayer of the straight is his delight. So I have teased this very briefly, but some of you guys may remember that I'm very slowly doing a study on abominations in Scripture. Every time the word abomination or abominations or abominable comes up, going through verse by verse and identifying those and going back to the Hebrew and the Greek and like, okay, well, what word are they using? Because they use about 8 or 10 different words that are all translated as abomination. And what's the context behind all of these? And I just finished identifying all 166 verses that the word abomination or abominations or abominable appears in. And I knew it was in Proverbs a lot, but it's a pretty decent sized list that it pops up in Proverbs, and this was one of them. I am not at a point where I'm ready to publicly share findings on it, but that was something that popped up, and it was just like, ooh. Basically, the sacrifice of somebody who is isn't living right. Like anything good that they do is an abomination to Yahweh. Like, oh, makes me think of when YESHUA is talking about that our best works are filthy rags. Like that's instantly where my brain goes with that. And I'm lost on that reference from the Gospels, but that's something that I'm just like, oh, wow, yeah. Like even the good that that somebody who is not living right does. That it is disgusting to Yahweh. The way of the wrong one is an abomination to Yahweh, but he loves him who pursues righteousness. Discipline is grievous to him who forsakes the way, but he hates reproof. But he who hates reproof dies. Sheol and destruction are before Yahweh. How much more the hearts of the sons of men? Now, in verse 11, just kind of ties back, I think, to verse 3. A scoffer does not love his reprover, nor does he go to the wise. A glad heart makes a good face, but sorrow of heart, but by sorrow of heart, the spirit is stricken. The heart of an understanding one seeks knowledge, but the mouth of the fool feeds on folly. Now that's interesting when we tie it into what we were talking about towards the beginning. The heart of the understanding one seeks knowledge, but the mouth of fools feed on folly. All right. I'm going back to Matthew 13 on that one, because that reminds me of something we read. Feel free to chime in. I don't want to.
Sorry you brought up the filthy rags thing, so I started looking it up.
You got it.
Isaiah 64, verse 6. All of us have become as one Dude, get out of here. Don't pop up again. And all of us have become as one unclean, and all our righteousnesses are soiled rags. And all of us fade like a leaf, and our crookednesses, like the wind, has taken us away. I don't know if that's the one you're referring to.
Well, so that ties in. There's something where YESHUA says it.
I was looking for that too, but I couldn't. Usually I can filter this. I'll get back to you. Maybe.
My brain still operates in ESV, so you may have to search it in there.
You said ESV?
Yeah, my brain still operates in the ESV, because that's just what I've got more time in that translation than anything else. But yeah, while you're looking for that, making the point that I was making on the heart of the understanding one seeks knowledge, but the mouth of fools feed on folly. What's that? That was Matthew 13. Matthew 13, verse 12. For whoever possesses, to him more will be given. and he shall have overflowingly. But whoever does not possess even what he possesses shall be taken away from him. And comparing that with Proverbs 15, 14. The heart of the understanding one seeks knowledge. So if you're already a relatively wise person, you're going to seek more wisdom, more knowledge. But if you're a fool, you're going to be chasing after folly. So if you have, you'll get more. But if you don't have, even what you do have will be taken away from you and given to others. Like that, just the connection my brain made on that. Like you're either getting more wisdom or you're losing out.
It's freaking cold in here, man. I don't know why.
So nothing turned up when you searched our righteousness as like filthy rags.
No, I mean there was a couple verses in James that popped up, but it was
Maybe
really that
that's
Isaiah.
maybe that's where my brain is going with James. I don't know. Just means I get to study more.
Yeah, it's usually how I take those things too. Like, well, just read it more. It'll pop up. What, Lone Star Living? I freaking miss you, bro.
Shalom, Lone Star Living. And Brian Barnes may be right. That could be Paul. I don't know, but like for some reason I'm thinking it's Yeshua.
Yeah, it's in there somewhere. I know that, but I couldn't find it.
Tell you what, with the $3 worth of God thing that I post, I'll do some digging and see what I can find and see if I can post that below it. Just like, by the way, this is the reference that I couldn't think of.
Well, I've heard reference to John calling the Pharisees or something like that dirty minstrel rags, and
Oh yeah.
I've never really found that. And I've
Um,
been looking, but I just haven't found it.
that's we're going on a side quest.
Didn't mean to start side quest. What?
Dude, you're cool. The side quests, I think, are where all the gold is. That is in John, if I remember right. Go to Luke real quick. I'm still thinking it's in John. I'm thinking it's in a pretty early chapter of John, but to Luke real quick. Luke always has those long chapters. Okay, I'm in Luke 3. Picking up in verse 4. It's been written in the book of the words of YESHUA the prophet, saying, a voice of one crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahweh, make his path straight. Every valley shall be filled, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall become straight, and the rough become smooth ways, and all flesh shall see the deliverance of Elohim. And he said, therefore, the crowds that came out to be immersed by him, brood of adders, who warned you, who warned you to flee from the wrath to come. Therefore, bear fruit worthy of repentance. Do not begin to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as our father. For I say to you that Elohim is able to raise children of Abraham from these very stones. Even now the axe is laid at the root of the tree. Therefore, every tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. The crowds asked him, saying, what then shall we do? And he answered and said to them, let him who has 2 undergarments share with him who has none, and let him who has food do likewise. And tax collectors also came to be immersed and said to him, teacher, what shall we do? And he said to them, collect no more than what is appointed to you. And soldiers also asked him, saying, what shall we do? And he said to them, do not intimidate anyone or accuse falsely, and be satisfied with your pay. But as the people were in expectation, and all were reasoning in their hearts about Yohanan, whether he was the Messiah or not, Yohanan answered, saying to them all, I indeed immerse you with water, but one mightier than I is coming, whose sandal straps I am not worthy to loosen, and he shall immerse you in the set apart spirit and fire. And his winnowing fork is in his hand, and he shall thoroughly cleanse his threshing floor and gather the wheat into the storehouse. But the chaff he shall burn with unquenchable fire. And urging with many other words, he brought the good news to the people. And Harris, the district ruler, being convinced by him concerning her as his brother Philip's wife, and for all the wicked deeds which Herod's did, this to them all. He locked up Yohanan in prison. It came to be that when all the people were immersed, YESHUA also being immersed and praying, the heavens was opened, the Son of God's Spirit descended in bodily form like a dove. Okay, I'm not seeing that one in Luke. Yeah, what you're talking about, I do vaguely remember where effectively he called the Pharisees douchebags, essentially.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't ever found it or wrote it down or anything. I don't remember reading it. I would just like to know where it is, because that is a hell of a rebuke. Anyways, it's not super.
No. It's okay. Side quests are fun, even when they're unhelpful.
Really gotta pee.
I'm relatively at a stopping point, so do you want me to
Okay.
pray us out real quick, and then you go
We
pee in
can
your
do
bucket
that.
off to the side?
Keep going. There's a trash can over there, bro.
Well, hey, you know.
I'm not taking that trash out if I do that.
Alright, I'll close this up in prayer real quick.
Okay.
Father, yeah, thank you so much for bringing us together. Thank you for your word. Thank you for the convictions that you lay on our hearts. Teach us to listen to you. Father, like David said in Psalm 139, examine us and test our hearts. See if there's anything in us that is not of you, and call us out on it. Father, yeah, we thank you for the gentle word that you give us. We thank you for the harsh rebukes that we receive. Teach us to use the same with the people in our lives. Teach us to walk in gentleness and kind words with them, but also give us the boldness to use a harsh word when necessary. Thank you for giving us the dwell time with the people around us, so that way those harsh words, when they are absolutely necessary, are received in love, and that they're rebukes that need to happen, and not frivolous things that don't matter. I thank you for Yeshua. Thank you for his death, his burial, his resurrection. Thank you for the promise of new life. Help us to walk in that every single day. You just draw closer to you.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the replay crew who's coming through and tolerating all of our shenanigans. You guys have a good week. Have a good day of prep.
Freaking shalom, homies.
Yeah. Go pee in your bucket.
Yeah. Roger.
Go do hard things. Shalom.
Yeah, shalom.